Hello everybody, I'm Thomas and welcome to the 11th video of this series in which I will be playing through the Hadrian's Wall solo campaign. Today I will be attempting fort number 6, Salernum. In its description it reads, Salernum was a cavalry fort. The unit stationed there was Alla Augusta ab Vetrium Aptella, or named Augusta because of its valor. It was also home to a spectacular Roman bathhouse. So the fort rules: I cannot build the theater or the gladiator stadium. For the goal, I have to build the baths and score 23 plus victory points in valor, which should be something to attempt, I guess. And then finally for the challenge, I have to get 10 plus victory points from the path cards, and if I'm able to do that, I'll get an extra soldier and civilian for next fort. But as you can see, I have my builder and civilian from last fort, so we could just go ahead and start with year number 1. So let's see what my supply card is here. Okay, pretty even spread of resources, I would say, or spread of supplies. My 2 cards are either Final Disdain or Constructed Landmarks. I'll go with Disdain. And because of that, I get 2 resources, and I also get another 3rd resource because of the resource production on my, or what I start with, I guess, and we're on our way with year number 1. So, I mean, the main things, I guess I'll go ahead and cross out the theater, gladiator, because I can't even use those even if I wanted to. I need to make sure that I'm going to focus the baths, probably the courthouse as well, and just really making sure that my cohorts are good, that I'm not taking any disdain. Probably build the temples, maybe get the diplomats, who knows. I'll start out by using a builder on the fort, because that's just kind of what you got to do. Start building out the wall a little bit with the civilian. As far as my plan, I feel like I probably need to build both roads to really start maxing out on the valor, so I'll probably try to do all these down here. These tend to be pretty good, as long as I can kind of get them set up in a proper amount of time. I'll spend my 1 soldier on the wall guard, and I could place a cohort somewhere. I'll just start on the right, I suppose. I'll use a civilian on the priest track, and that will get me a servant. I will spend both servants on mining and foresting up here. That'll get me a bit of resource production along with a resource. I'll spend 2 builders on the fort and 2 resources on the wall. Just slowly progressing down that stuff over there gets me a civilian back. So I'll use a civilian on, I guess, the trader's track to get me a servant, and then spend that servant, the builder, and a resource to build the small temple, which will get me a little bit of piety, because then I can use a civilian to fill that temple. Will get me a little bit more piety, and most importantly, a favor to protect myself against some picks, which seem like they're going to attack here soon. I will use this civilian on this track down here to get me a builder to spend here on the fort, which will get me a civilian back, and then thankfully I could spend a resource on the wall. That'll get me a bit of renown and a cohort, which I'll just fill in the middle one. I mean, it looks like the best I could do is something like spending that civilian on this track to get a builder, spending them there on the fort, spending my resource on the wall to get a civilian back. Yeah, not really many options here, so I guess I could just put it on any track and do basically nothing. I guess I'll do that. I'll put it down here on the patricians, get a resource, and use that resource, I guess, just on the Sippy. Maybe that's a terrible idea, who knows, but that's the end of the first year. 1 pick attacking. I have a favor, so it's impossible for them to break through, but hopefully they hit center or right, so I don't have to waste that favor yet. They did hit right. Thank goodness these picks are semi-cooperating. So that is, I get 1 valor. Let me get rid of these cards over here and put this back. As a quick little side tangent, I was trying to do some math in my head real quick. I need 23 plus VP and valor. Even if I were to perfectly beat all the picks, this is only 15 valor up here. There's 3 more I can get from the cohorts, but that's still only 18. So I think I have to build the roads. The only other source of valor is some down here on these tracks towards the end. There's the diplomats. There are some there. And that's pretty much it. So I think I need to at least build the small road, maybe the large road, and probably a lot sooner rather than later. Year 2, get some new rival cards over here and see what supplies I get for this year. Okay, not bad. And it's a center card, so we've kind of got an even spread up there of cards so far. for my 2 cards, I can either do resource production or collected goods. I always tend to like resource production, so I'll do that one. This gets me an extra civilian and resource. Then because of my board, I get 2 resources. And with that, we are on our way with year number 2. A lot of stuff I want to do, not a lot of time. I really wish I had at least the hotel. I mean, it would be nice to start building some of these down here because I do find them helpful, but it's just expensive and it's already year 2, so who knows. I mean, I think I will start out by building the small hotel because I want to get some of these going soon. So doing that, I am 2, so I can do that and fill that in to get a civilian back. And then since I am 3, I'll go ahead and just spend 3 resources to build the small workshop. So I have that built as well for next year, but now I just need to get that road built, which I'm going to need at least another resource to do and another servant. I will spend, I guess, 2 servants down here on the patrician's track to get me a soldier, and then use that soldier to do some scouting, and I'll just use my shape to get a resource and a servant. Oh, I can't even build the I can't even build the small road this year because I forgot I need to get to 4, which I need the medium granary before I can even do that. So I'll put that on the back burner for next year. As far as this year, probably just continue on the priest and this track. Try to get some more cohorts up. Seems pretty decent idea. I guess I do need to focus on resource production, so maybe go down this small precinct. I'll use a builder on the fort and then spend 2 civilians over here, which gets me a builder back. I will then spend that soldier up here to get me a bit of discipline and another soldier to get me a cohort, which I will just fill in the left one. So now I at least have 1, 1, and 1. This isn't a good situation to be in. I kind of have a decent amount of stuff left and not a lot to do with it, which is not a good spot to be. I mean, I can use a builder on the wall and that'll get me a bit of discipline. But like then what, you know? Not too many options left. Like I could spend both, I guess I could. Okay, so I could build the medium granary. I guess I do have enough for that, so I could go ahead and do that. And then, yeah, just use my last servant over here. Sure, why not? So 2 picks could be attacking. I have everything covered. Still have another favor. So hopefully they don't hit the same side we got left, and just don't be left again. It's right, wow. All right, so they're actually cooperating. So I get another 2 Valor. That will get me a soldier for the next year. Let me clear these out here. Get the rival cards out of here. Which I may use, probably not, but we'll see. And see what my supply card is for this year. All right, so that goes over there. Then we grab my 2 cards to see. I got filled temples or completed cohorts. I'll go with filled temples since I already have 1 and I want to focus on my Valor, so. I mean, cohorts I will plan on doing, but filling them all, like completing a whole cohort, can be kind of tricky because I like keeping them balanced. So, got my extra soldier. My resource production is awful. I only have 2 right now. That needs to change this next year. And then I get a civilian from my hotel and a builder from my workshop. We're on our way with year number 3. So I almost want to just go ahead and spend 2 builders on the fort, which will get me a civilian back, which I desperately needed like last turn. I'll use a civilian and a servant to build the small precinct, which will get me a piety, which gets me a civilian back. I get a resource production along with a resource. And now that I'm level 4, I can use 2 servants, a builder, and a resource to build the small road. And I can choose either piety or discipline. I'll definitely choose discipline to get a builder back. And mainly because discipline has some extra Valor early on its track, so could be helpful. So I'll spend all 3 soldiers on my wall guard. Gets me nothing, gets me a little bit of discipline, and then I can fill in a cohort, which I will just go with center. I will spend both civilians on the priest track, which gets me a servant, and I will use the servant up here on mining and foresting. Use this one also on mining and foresting to get me a bit more resource production and another resource. I'll spend 2 of my resources on the wall. That'll fill in that, and I get an extra cohort to fill in, and I'll fill in the left one. So I can use a builder on the fort to get me a civilian use that civilian on the patrician's track, which gets me a bit of renown. Then I can use both of these resources on the wall. The first gets me a bit of renown, and the second gets me a civilian, and also my renown gets me a civilian, so I get 2. All right, then I'll spend both of these civilians on this track, and that'll get me a soldier, which I guess I'll just go ahead and spend on the wall guard, and that'll be year 3 with 4 picks that are gonna be attacking. So I got 2, 2, and 1, so sitting okay. I still have 1 favor, so hopefully none break through, but we will see. We got right, not a good start. Left, okay. Left, this is good. And right, 1 did break through. Luckily I had the favor, so I'm okay. Yeah, I should be more happy, but I used up my favor, so we'll see. I just need to get another favor next year. Maybe I'll be okay, but that's 2 valor for me, and I can put these off to the side and grab some new cards for next year. There's those 2, and let's see what my supply card is. All right, there's that. Let me see what my 2 cards are. So either large buildings or completed citizen tracks. Yeah, I'll go for citizen tracks. Tends to be one I just go for in general. I like the gardens, and that makes the citizen tracks easier. The roads will probably help with the citizen tracks, so yeah. The large buildings can be tough. I mean, I plan on getting at least 1. If not 2, I'll probably get the gardens, the greenery, probably the road, maybe the hotel and workshop, I don't know. But I got my extra stuff, so I get 4 extra resources. Then since I have a hotel, I get a civilian. My workshop gets me a builder, and then I can choose to go down a track because of my road, and I will definitely choose Valor, which gets me another soldier. And then, yeah, we are on our way with year number 4. So year number 4, lots to do. I think the main things are going to be trying to get the courthouse because it's year 4, probably the small gardens, maybe the medium temple. Those are my goals. The large road, I could build an infrastructure level 8. Maybe build the large road next year, and we'll go from there. So we start out by spending a civilian on the priest track, which gets me a bit of piety. And then I will spend a servant, a builder, and a resource on the small gardens, which gets me another piety. Boost the traders track, the performers track, and the priest track, which gets me a servant. I can cross that off. All right, we're on our way with some of the stuff I wanted to get done. I can spend a civilian down here on this track, which does get me a bit of discipline. I'll spend a builder on the fort, and then spend 2 resources on the wall. That will get me a bit of renown. And I can fill it in a cohort. I'll go with the right one just so I have now 2 at each. I'll then use 2 of my soldiers out on the wall guard. The first will get me some discipline, which will get me a builder back. The next will allow me to fill in a cohort, which I will go with the center one. That'll get me a bit more discipline. Okay, then I will spend 2 builders on the fort, and that'll get me a civilian. I will spend 2 resources on the wall, and that'll get me a civilian. And then I'll spend, 1 civilian on the priest track to get me a bit of piety. And that'll get me a servant, spend the other resource on this track to get me a builder. Then I can spend 2 servants, a builder, and 2 resources on the courthouse. And since it's year 4 and I'm level 4 on this track, I can get a servant. Oh, okay, this seems like a good play. So I use the soldier on the fort, and that gets me a bit of discipline, and I can fill in a cohort. I guess I will go with left, and that gets me a builder back, which I didn't anticipate. Then I can use my courthouse, since I am level 5, to swap a builder for 2 servants. And then now I have 3 servants. I can use all of them on mining and foresting. That will get me a bit more resource production. Where are we at here? And a resource, which I'll just go ahead and spend on my wall. Lets me fill in another cohort. I'll go with the right one. Gets me a bit more discipline. So now all my cohorts are at 3, 3, and 3. At this point, I have an extra builder left over to do something with. So I guess I will just use them on the wall guard, because I don't think I've done that yet. And with that, we're done with year 4. There's going to be 6 picks attacking. Like I said, I'm sitting at 3, 3, and 3. I don't have my favor anymore, so I am exposed to getting attacked. Well, let's see how this goes. Center, okay. Center, bad. Okay, let's see, left. Center, just don't be any more centers. Left, just don't be center. It's right. Oh my goodness. We survived that attack. So I got 3 Valor from that, which will get me a soldier for next year. All right, we clean up these cards and see what's coming down the line. So I got those for my rival cards and see what my supply card is. Okay. So there's that. Let's see what my 2 options are. So either Gladiator Strength, but definitely not, or Complete Scout Columns. I guess that's one I have to do. Fun. Put that up there. That gives me an extra servant and resource. Then, because of my resource production, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. That's pretty sweet. Then I get a civilian because of my hotel, a builder because of my workshop. My road lets me go down a path, and I'm definitely going Valor because I'm falling behind on that. And yeah, we're on our way with year number 5. So I need to fill the medium temple. So let me just do that. Spend a servant, a builder, and 2 resources to build the medium temple. That will get me a bit of piety. I'll worry about filling it here later. I do need to build the baths at some point. I'm gonna probably wait till next year to do that. Since it's year 5 and I'm level 5, I can use this to get me a servant. I'll use 1 civilian over here to get me a servant. And now that I'm level 7, I can spend a servant, a builder, and 2 resources on the large gardens, which gets me a bit of piety. Gets to go down the trader's track, which gets me a resource. The performer's track gets me a servant. The priest track gets me some more piety, which gets me another servant. Then I go down this track, which gets me some discipline, and the bottom track, which gets me a bit more resources, and that's the large gardens. Always love using that. At this point, I think I kind of have to build the large granary, so I will use a builder, servant, and 2 resources to build the large granary. Gets me a bit of renown. I will use a soldier on the wall guard up here to get discipline, which gets me a builder. I'll use that builder on the fort, which gets me to level 7, which isn't enough for the large road yet. I will spend this civilian on this track over here to get me a soldier. I will then use the courthouse, and I'm level 7. I'll use it both times, basically just to net me a servant. I will use the soldier on the fort, which will get me a civilian. And I will use 2 resources. Yeah, 2 resources on the wall. The first will get me a bit of renown, which gets me a civilian. The next just straight up gets me a civilian. So I'm sitting at 3, which is nice. I'll spend 2 civilians on the patrician's track. Well, no, not the trader's track. Yeah, because then that will get me a builder. I'll use that builder on the fort. Now that I'm level 8, I can spend 2 servants, the builder, and 2 resources to build the large road. Of course, I could choose renown or valor. I'm definitely going to pick valor. Okay, I'll use these 2 servants to start filling this medium temple. That'll get me 2 piety. And I'll just use this civilian on the priest track to get a servant. Use that servant to fill in the temple. I'll give me a bit more piety, which gets me a servant back. And then I get another favor. I can use that servant just on the mining and foresting, and use this soldier on the wall guard to get another cohort. I'll go with the center one. With that, we're done with year 5. There's going to be 8 picks attacking. I do have another favor. We're sitting at 3, 4, and 3 on my cohorts. Okay, so 8 picks, like I said, 3, 4, and 3. I do have a favor, so let's see how this goes. We got right, left, middle, right. Right, okay, we're maxed out on right. Left, 2 more left. Center, okay. I think I'm good at this point. Left hit, so I didn't even have to use my favor. That's awesome. Put these off to the side here. And we will be on our way to set up the last year here. Get rid of these cards. Throw them off to the side. See what my last 2 rival cards are. And see what my... Oh, wait, I didn't mark down my Valor. I get 3 Valor. It's so important. 1, 2, 3. That gets me a soldier. Now let me see what my supply card is for this year. Okay, so that's my supply. Then for my cards, either completed wall guard section or wall section. Interesting, those are like the two I have to choose from, because I always like having them both, and they're pretty similar. I guess the wall is probably closer, so I'll go with the wall. So then because of that, I get an extra builder and civilian. And because of my board, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. Okay, then because of my hotel, I get a civilian. My workshop gets me a builder. I have both small and large road. I'm gonna definitely choose Valor for both because I need as much Valor as I can get, and that gets me another soldier. We're on our way with the final year. So the other thing I have to do is build the baths. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that first. I will spend the 2 servants, a builder, and 2 resources to build the baths. Even though I don't need it, well, I do need it for the fort, but I don't actually need to use it, so I guess that's nice. And because of this track, I can go ahead and use that to get an extra servant. I'll use a soldier to go down the fort a bit, and that'll get me another civilian. I'll spend 2 resources on my wall, and that'll get me another renown along with a cohort to fill in. I'm gonna go with the center one just so I can get a bit of valor, which will get me some discipline. I will spend a civilian on the patrician's track down here, which will get me some renown. Will get me a civilian back, which I'll spend on the patrician's track again to get me a soldier. I'm gonna use the courthouse. Well, I guess I can't. Let me use a civilian on the courthouse. That'll get me a bit of discipline. Now I can use the courthouse twice to basically just net me an extra servant. I'll spend a builder on the fort. I'll spend a civilian on this track to get me a builder, which I'll spend on the fort to get me a civilian back. I'll spend a soldier to finish out the fort down here. That gets me a bit of discipline, which does get me a builder. I also could fill in a cohort, which I'll go with the left one. Well, actually, I'll go with the right one. I just need to use left or right twice to get another Valor. So now at this point, I can spend 2 resources on my wall. And that'll get me another civilian, which then I can spend that civilian along with this one on the patrician's track. Gets me a bit of renown, and then finally a resource. So I can finish off my wall, use that on my right cohort to get me a bit more Valor. At this point, I think I might be good on Valor, or maybe I need one more. I think I need one more. So I'll use both of these civilians on the top track up here. Gets me a bit of renown and a resource. I will then use both of these servants on mining and foresting up here. That'll get me a bit more resource production and another resource. For the first time like ever, I'm gonna use a diplomat and spend a servant, a soldier, and 2 resources. And that'll get me some Valor, which does get me a soldier. And then I get 2 favors, but I have to choose a direction, and I'm gonna go with center. Well, I'll go with, yeah, center. Okay, I'll spend both soldiers on the wall, or sorry, the wall guard. They go up here, that'll get me a bit of discipline. Then I will use this soldier on the training grounds to complete a cohort. I will go with the right one. That'll get me a bit more discipline, which gets me a bit more Valor. I think I'm okay with my Valor as long as these picks cooperate. And then I have a builder left over I don't think I could do anything with because, yeah, I've already used temples and forts, complete wall guard. I can't use, or sorry, training grounds I can't use again. So I think that's it. So what do we got? 10 picks are going to be attacking. I'm sitting at 3, 5, and 6 as far as my cohorts, but I still have, I have 1 general favor, and then I have 2 favors that can be used for the center. So we'll see how this goes. Of course, they're going to all hit left, and I'm going to be screwed, but maybe not. Yeah, I just want to see a lot of center. Right? I don't mind. Man, these cards are sticking together. We got right. We got center. Good. I like seeing that. Left, I don't want to see ever again. Center. Okay. Center. Okay. We got 2 more. Right. Okay. And right. So is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? That's everybody. And yeah, that they did not get through once. So that's pretty good for us. Means I can throw these off to the side. We get 4 more Valor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gets me a bit of renown. And yeah, that is the end of the game. So I can go ahead and add up my stuff down here. Okay, so for Renown, I get 12. Piety, 12. Valor, I'm at 24. And Discipline, 17. See how I did on my path cards up here. 11 points. So not as good as normal, but I think that's enough, maybe. So we'll see. 11 points, 0 for my Disdain. Let's see what I got. So we got 12 plus 12 plus 24 plus 17 plus 11. 76. I just had to double check. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what my final score was, because as long as I got 23 Valor, I did. As long as that's all I needed, and the bathhouse built. So I got that for the 4 goals, and the optional challenge was 10 plus VP from path cards, which I got. So I actually got this on my first try. Awesome. I'm happy about that. This was a pretty fun fort. I like I don't really use these two too often, so didn't change up much, but that was a fun one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. I'll be back next time doing fort number 7, so subscribe if you want to catch that. And if you want to see one of my recent playthroughs, click up there in the top right corner of the screen.